guys, Tembo here with your weekly core report. With the holidays almost behind us, we're finishing the year strong with some big hits. Let's get to the winners. Christmas brought us 2 days worth of NFL slates over the weekend, and our members took advantage of it. IPT 007 hit for $2,100. The Guru won $5,500. Oaktown Daily Crusher shipped on 2 separate showdown slates, winning over $40K. Elsewhere in NFL, we're in Best Ball Finals week. Congrats to all our members and contributors who advanced. We'll be covering the final results in next week's core report. In the NBA streets, our members' hot streak continued as well. Dr. Lucky 7 hit for $4,500. Shawnee Wins won $7K. Sweet Boy hit for $23K. And Bossolini 1 topped it off with a $50K shipper in Showdown. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Winner's Circle channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. And while you're watching, hit that like button now. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Till next time, let's keep running pure.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Talking some hoops. Guys just got done with the NFL Showdown show. Cowboys and the Titans today. It's a very interesting one. No Derrick Henry, no Pollard. A lot going on in that game. Make sure you check out the premium Showdown show that we did have. You do have to be a member for it, though. If you're not a member, head over to Run Pure Sports. Still got that promo code going on. Ho 25 gets you 25% off. But we're here talking hoops. Usually on a Thursday, 3 games, 4 games. Sometimes we even had 2 games. Nice 6-game slate today, so I'm excited to dive in, talk about it. I'm waiting on some injury news, not the whole laundry list like we usually have, though. Bring my 2 guys, Hoop and Mangone. Hoop, go to you first. What's going on? You got that beanie on, got that hat on. It's like summer out there in Michigan. Same thing, Wisconsin. Wake up, snow's gone, 50 degrees. A little chilly?
Yeah, it was, I've been waiting for this beanie ever since I saw Big T's ugly mug wearing one on the show. I was like, I gotta get myself one of those. So I talked about it on the show. I surpassed the DMs and went straight to the text message to Mrs. Big T, and she got it out. Unfortunately, it got delivered on like the warmest day it's been here in like a month. It's 50. But I said once I got it, it's going on my head and it's not leaving for a while. So I'm a little warm with it on, but I just can't take it off at this point. So we're sticking with the Run Pure beanie for a while here.
Yeah, can't complain. It looks really sharp, that's for sure. Mangone, what's the weather looking like in Colorado? I saw Holden. Oh, you're not. Yeah, you're back in Colorado. I see your normal setup. That's got to be fun. Holden, beautiful picture he posted this morning. Is it nice, beautiful, snowy mountains right now? Nice weather.
Yeah, I got to see that snowy picture from above today. I was on the plane. So I've been up since 5 a.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. Mountain Time over here. So these days are a little tougher when you go from East Coast to West Coast. I'm sure you'll see it title when you do the Milwaukee trip. I'm sure it's going to be brutal. But
5 a.m.
yeah. And then I'm telling you, the hours, man, it feels later than it is. And I was up really early, so it's brutal, but we're powering through it. So if I kind of don't listen to you for a second, my apologies. I'm just a little tired. We got the coffee ready to go. And we got a nice NBA slate to discuss as well. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah, I got a bunch of snow here. I missed the snow, but I had to do a little bit of shoveling this morning to help some of the roommates get out of the house to be able to go some places. But excited to be here to talk some NBA hoops. And we got some we got Spurs and Thunder, like the crappy teams to talk about. We got some good values. Got some good spend up options. Luka's back on the slate after the 60-point game. So a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, Giannis was trying to match Luka yesterday. Didn't quite get there, but man, he put up a big one too. In a loss, Luka's back on the slate after the monster game. Got to say hi to a couple people in chat before we go game by game, though. First comment I saw was kids saying title looks like Patrick Swayze from Ghost. Don't know who that is, but yeah, like I said, I'm still in my parents' in my old room. Got a lamp I'm working with. I'm doing this in the dark. I'll be back in my normal setup with the normal lights coming here in less than a week, and it'll be normal. But yeah, I definitely look like a ghost right now. Not the best picture quality. Let's see what else we got in chat. Matt Cross, Paraby, Dr. Lucky, Mamba, 8pone, Nadesify, Mike Carr, Hammer, Sean, Anthony, Tim Taylor. A lot of some new faces we see in here. I love it. Keller Rushing, Colin T, Darth Anger, Mamba. I already said Mamba. What's going on twice? Beat Boz.
I gotta cut you off. I gotta cut you off real quick, man. You don't know? You've never heard Patrick Swayze?
No, Swaze sounds a lot cooler than Swayze, though. That's for sure.
I'm dying, man. He's like one of the most. I mean, I guess a little before your time, but like probably one of the most popular actors of the previous generation.
I literally live
Patrick. It's Patrick Swayze, not Swaze.
Yeah.
Swaze sounds cooler. Hey, I live under a rock when it comes to most things. My whole life growing up, sports. The Swaze sounds cooler, so I'm gonna keep saying that. Chat's absolutely loving it, but no, I do not know who that is.
The best part is Hoop lives under a rock for that stuff too. That's not normally like.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But
like, he's got a wife that can help him at least a little bit.
She's not even really into all that stuff either. But like Patrick Swayze is like a movie icon, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I got no clue, and yeah, I'm taking these people. Yeah, I mean, hey, now there's so many new faces in chat that I see all these guys coming out of the woodworks that I've never seen before. So yeah, you can keep ripping out. Yeah, I have no clue. Swaze sounds cooler though. I mean, that's what his name should
like
be.
It. I do like the way that sounds though. That does sound pretty sweet, for sure. But
I'm not even gonna lie. I debated not even reading the last name because I read it out first. I'm like, I don't necessarily know, but I'll take my shot. Yeah, no, I had no clue who that is. Let me look on Google quick.
Yeah, it's mostly late 80s, early 90s. I mean, you weren't even alive at that point.
Yeah, the dude was born in 1952. Wow, how am I ever supposed to know that guy?
Can we get the Swaze play of the day?
Oh, it's gotta be there.
Hey, speaking of plays of the day, the Denver dude's been treating me well these past couple nights. Locks went Giannis yesterday. It was KD for Tambo. Yesterday was a good day for the plays of the day. We do need that like button though. We appreciate doing so far. Swaze season. Yeah, I mean, there's too many comments to even read all this stuff. No, I have no clue who that guy is. But hey, let's move on from Patrick Swaze season. Let's talk some hoops. We got 6 games on the slate. It's going to be over pretty early today. 2 games at 7 p.m. Eastern, 2 games at 7:30, 1 at 8 and 1 at 8:30. 3 big pieces of injury news that we're waiting on. So we got, before we go game by game, the 3 injury news: Fred VanVleet's questionable, Tyrese Halliburton's questionable, Jalen Brunson's questionable. We're going to get the Tyrese news for sure. Pacers play at 7 p.m. Eastern. Going to the Fred VanVleet, he starts at 7:30. So hopefully we get that news before lock. And then Jalen Brunson plays at 8 p.m. Eastern, and he missed last game. So that's how you're looking at the slate overview right now. Let's go game by game, though. Enough of ripping on title. OKC Thunder, Charlotte Hornets, 239 total. Charlotte is favored by 1. On the Charlotte side, Nick Richards is questionable. Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable. Kelly Oubre is doubtful. Cody Martin is doubtful. Going to the OKC side, Poku's going to be out for a while. Jeremiah Robinson Earl is out, and that is it for that side. Mango, and I'll start with you in this one. Big total. SGA, Terry Rozier, LaMelo, Giddey. I think there's a lot of options you can go to in this one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a game that we have to be considering tonight. I should pull up the injury news on that just because not Washington, Charlotte's been like a team that's been a little banged up as of late. Kelly Oubre's doubtful, Richards questionable, Dennis Smith Jr. questionable, and I think some of those pieces of news do matter, right? This is a matchup where, if you look up the flow chart stuff, we got a nice little flow chart that shows some matchups that are good. OKC is one of those teams that's really bad against big men. Charlotte, another team that's bad against big men. So you'll be looking at these bigs as options. But the problem is, which bigs are you excited about? Are you actually excited about Mason Plumlee? I mean, title, I can count on maybe like one finger. Maybe I'll put up to say I was excited for a Mason Plumlee slate over the past year. Like, you never really get excited for Mason Plumlee. So I doubt I'll see him on your teams tonight. I don't know if he's going to be on my teams, but we'll see. I mean, he's obviously in a great spot. You also have PJ Washington. He kind of disappointed a little bit the other day, found his way to get there, but with Kelly Oubre out, it is a good role for him. You can also make the case for these other guys like Hayward, Rozier, Ball. It's all beneficial to them. One thing I do want to call out is once Dennis Smith Jr. does come back, I actually think he is going to command enough usage to cut into some of these other players. Now, I don't know which one it's going to cut into. Will it cut into Hayward, Rozier, or Ball? You can make the argument it shouldn't cut into Ball, but it could at times. So it's something to watch for, especially like Terry Rozier, because he gets that one rotation that like plays with just a bunch of bums from that like probably like start of the first quarter to that end of the like not end of the second quarter with like 8 minutes left in the second quarter. So the point I'm getting at here is these guys, even though they're questionable and doubtful, they're very big because they impact how we're going to handle PJ Washington, Plumlee, Hayward, Rozier, and Ball, because that's the starting five, and their bench right now is a disaster. It's McDaniels, it's Richards, Thor, Smith Jr. if he plays, Williams, Kai Jones, Bouknight, McGowan. It's just not a good group overall. So I think that you're going to want to consider these starters, but the news is going to be important here. If you do have Nick Richards out, Mark Williams has popped up a little bit recently. He could obviously slide in for Richards some, but again, we need that news. It's going to be important, and this is the OKC game that matters a lot. If we look at the OKC side of the ball, one thing to call out with this team, they are looking to be chalkier on this slate. One thing is they are missing Poku now, which is, yes, that's going to help out like a Darius Baisley and some of these other options, but let's count the players that they have on their team. They got Baisley, Giddey, I think Muscala, SGA, Dort, Jalen Williams, Trey Mann, Isaiah Joe, Kenrich Williams, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams again, and then Eugene. That's 12 guys, I think, 12 guys. I mean, that's an insane amount that they have and can play.
What's Eugene's last name?
I'm not saying Eugene. Eugenio, that's his name. His name's Eugenio. But the thing is, we watched OKC the other day, and like Josh Giddey didn't close out the game. Lou Dort didn't really close out the game. OKC is willing to embrace these other guys and play super deep. So on slates that the OKC options are chalk, don't just assume they're the greatest plays in the slate. There is reasons to make fades on some of these OKC guys, like Josh Giddey, who's gaining some ownership tonight. You also have Darius Baisley. Now, I think Darius Baisley's role is really nice, and he's a great value. The key is he's only 3K, and he's playing Charlotte. It's like the perfect spot, and starting lineups are going to matter here, but you do have to think about how you're rostering the Oklahoma City Thunder. You don't just follow what the optimals are doing and call it a day. You really need to think about the ownership of the players. Like one thing I thought about the other day, Title, was I set limits on my teams to max of 3 from that San Antonio Spurs and Thunder game. I didn't want any more than that because most teams were pushing 5. I feel similar, maybe just making it a max of 1 of these OKC guys. I don't think that's a bad idea here. And when you do that, you kind of, get a little lucky sometimes. Like I had Poku on a team with Dort, and then I had Sokan. That was one of my combos. And I ended up swapping to Luka.
That was a great swap.
To help save me. And like, those are things that you need to consider when you roster some of these OKC guys that are chalk that can bust. If you see an OKC value busting early and you can tell the minutes are going to be wonky, there's a reason to move over and change players. So, and I mainly said that because I think that's a super important part of DFS that people don't always take advantage of. And we look at these slates and we're like, okay, really OKC guys are chalk? Like last night for me, I know Pistons got there, but I was like, the optimals are pushing 4 Pistons. Like this is insane. It's way too many for tournaments. I don't see 4 Pistons getting there. They did do well, but there were other values that opened up later. So think about these values. Don't just plug them in and say that they're absolute stone locks. Is this a good game to get exposure to? Yes, there's a bunch of good plays that we've talked about, but I think you have to really think about how you're playing these options. Baisley's a clear value play. Giddey's a decent mid-tier option. SGA, pretty solid spend that I'll look at. Mason Plumlee gets a great matchup. And then some of this other news is going to be really important to decide what we do with Charlotte. And also, you guys have been laughing the entire time I've been talking. Either they're making fun of me or they're talking about Patrick Swayze.
They're not making fun of you. I was laughing because I pulled up the YouTube and then it was like it was like 3 minutes behind. And literally I was watching it for probably 2.5 minutes. Hoop was laughing the whole 2.5 minutes.
I'm reading all these chats.
So yeah, I do want to shout out 2 people though. I mean, in the midst of all this slander, laughing, all of it, I love it for sure. But 2 comments I do not want to miss. Jacob, first show at attendance, looking forward to the NBA content. We appreciate you, Jacob. And then Bill V, Hey, I'll turn $12 Barkley free dollars. I don't know what Barkley free dollars is, but $12 into $76,000 Saturday on FanDuel. Thanks, fellas. What an ROI there. So shout out to you. I'm glad I saw that. Hoop, talk about what you're laughing at. Break down this game.
Oh, I mean, just the same stuff. We don't need to rehash. The guy's in there, he goes, I prefer movies with Brad Pitt.
Yeah, that is a guy I do know. I do know a little Brad Pitt action.
That's good.
I think that the Barkley Bucks is FanDuel has that deal with Charles Barkley now, so it must have been like a free giveaway or something that he got from the Charles. Is it
Barkley like sports
promotion.
Betting kind of? Like
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
like that.
Oh yeah, but it probably just goes into your FanDuel account, so he probably parlayed that into something big on Saturday.
I mean, I'll take any $12 into 76 grand. That is awesome stuff, man. Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations. That's definitely a big win. In regards to this game, I mean, the first thing that stands out to me is that 240 total and a spread of 1. So, I mean, I do think you want some exposure to this game. Now, what's the best way to get it? I think there's some pieces here. I mean, for me, I'm always going to trust the Hornets over the Thunder. Thunder are somewhat unpredictable outside of SGA and Giddey, who are both very fine options tonight. Get SGA at 10-1, Giddey at 6.9K. Price tag's a little bit cheaper than it's been recently. Darius Bazley is popping in projections as a really good value. He's 3K. I'm always a little bit, skeptical on the Thunder bigs because you really don't know what you're going to get. Muscala at 3-4 in the conversation as well. But, man, like you just don't know. And I think the most important part is the starting lineup is real big here for the Thunder. I mean, if you're playing guys like Muscala and Bazley, you want them to start with like a bigger lineup because there's probably more minutes to go around. So we really need to see Jalen Williams at 5K, I think, in play as well. So a lot of plays on the Thunder side, and then the Hornet side, I think we have plays as well. I mean, LaMelo Ball, the price is up there at 9.7K, but man, a 240 total and basically a pick 'em. I don't mind paying the price tag. What's the FanDuel one? Because I know he was cheaper. So 9K. So yeah, $700 cheaper over on FanDuel. Probably a better play there, but in play both for me. Terry Rozier at 7.3K. Fine option for sure. Just really comes down to whether or not he knocks down shots. I mean, not last game, the game before that, he's 2 for 17. 2 for 17 is not good. You know he's going to chuck it, but he needs to make some shots. Gordon Hayward, I don't mind the price tag on him at 6K. I mean, we have not seen the upside really from him at all, but man, 35, 36 minutes the last 2 games. That's something that I'm definitely interested in. Those minutes in the upper 30s should be there again tonight if this game does remain close. PJ Washington, I'm fine with at 5'3". Mason Plumlee at 5'8", I like as well. So, I mean, this game is loaded up with options. There's some risky ones. There's some stable ones. But, again, on a 6-game slate, I think you definitely want some exposure to this game for sure. I mean, 240 total and basically a pick 'em. That's a fun game for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, the next highest total is 228.5. I mean, 2 high-paced teams going up and down the court. Someone in chat said, can you play LaMelo and SGA together? I love doing stuff like that. Get your 2 best players on both teams. They go back.
I like doing it with the point guards the most, honestly, because they control that ball. And if they want a little back and forth, they're the ones that can control that.
Yeah, I love going.
I like it, but just going to call this out. Like, you're going to need value, right? Like, instantly you need to grab value. So you probably naturally want to go to kind of like a game stack, right?
I was going to say, you go to PJ, Plumlee, Bazley, the Dorts. I mean, you can get a lot. Just hope this game goes nuclear. When you do that as well, you never bank on OT, but when you do get that OT and you game stack it, those extra 5 minutes with all those players, I mean, you can skyrocket up there. Go ahead, man.
Another great way to build it, and I love doing this too. I don't know if the Knicks game is next. I can't remember which way the order goes, but like, the Knicks are going to be popular on this. Like the 2 big talking points for me when I do like my single entry 3 max will be how are we handling the Charlotte and Thunder game and how are we handling the Knicks, right? Because the Knicks are like in elite spots with elite minutes. And like one thing you could do is you could play SGA and Ball. And because you play SGA and Ball, well, hard to afford Randall and what's it called? Brunson if he ends up playing. But why don't you just play the values, right? Just play quickly and play like McBride or some of those guys. Focus on the Knicks values with those studs. That's a great way to kind of go about it. And that way you're still getting exposure to the Knicks option. So sometimes like with some of these teams like the Spurs, whenever they got like like sometimes I'll avoid like the Keldon Johnsons and like the Trey Jones and Vassals, mainly because at 7K, there's guys at 7K that can bust. Like Bogdanovich the other day, 6'1", thought he was a good play, but I also thought you can bust at 6'1". It's a lot easier for you. So if you do that SGA and ball route, you're betting on the shootout factor between those two guys going back and forth. And then you say, I don't need Randall, right? Because I already have the two other studs that went off. So grab the Knicks values instead. Because if that game does blow out, you could still get there with the Knicks value plays. And if the game shoots out, the values might absolutely smash and you still might be okay because your studs crushed.
Great. Yeah. Great breakdown there. The first game of the night, you definitely cannot ignore it. Hopefully we'll get the Tyrese news for sure. Hopefully we get the Fred VanVleet news at 30 minutes after lock. Maybe we get the Brunson news too, but even if we don't get that news, I think you can still load up on this game. Before we get to the next game though, I do want to touch on Mangone brought up the late swap a little bit. And then Tim Taylor said late swap edge is still there. Yeah, I just want to touch on that a little bit. It can go both ways too. So Mangone had it where he had Poku in tournaments. He was what, 35% Mangone, 40%, something like that?
He was 40% in the $200 and he was 65% in multipliers. And I just knew on the slate that like everyone's has Jokic, right? Like he was 40% while Luka was 3%. And I was like, when I was finagling around my money, I was kind of like moving it all around. And I just noticed I had more salary than normal and it wasn't tight for me. And I said, I'm just going to go grab Luka because I knew with a Poku, I read help to the locker room, right? Like help to the locker room is never
You're not
a good
coming
sign.
back.
I just knew I was going to naturally be behind on that team. And because I played two teams, I said, okay, this team literally, I'm telling you, like I had no thoughts of playing him until I saw him get help to the locker room. Then I said, let me put Luka in there. And that's what can save this lineup because I already have a guy that's helped to the locker room. I need something to really save my teams now.
You need a differentiator. You cannot play all the chalk with it. Now let's take it the other way. Let's say, I mean, on this slate, you can't really do it as much because all the games are within an hour and a half, but there's multiple late games on a slate like yesterday. Just say you have three guys that are 15% or less owned, and they're all have flame emojis going to the last game. You do not need to play all single digit owned players or low owned players. That's when you change. You get on a Bones Highland. You get on a more chalky build because you already got your low owned people that needed to work out. Now you don't need to get really different and to take first place. You already got that low owned stuff. Play the better plays, the higher owned plays. They're chalk for a reason. You can eat that chalk that way. So it doesn't just go with, man, going, this guy gets hurt. Yeah, I'm going to get off Jokic. I'm going to get to a different build. Jokic stinks. Jokic gets hurt. He gets in foul trouble. There you go. You jump all the Jokic teams with Baisley. Take it the other way too. You nail your low-owned players. Jump on the chalk. Don't be playing all these 5% owned guys and trying to have your whole lineup like that. So huge edge in late swap.
Yeah, agreed, Title. And like one thing I did on the late slate, I was in contention to win the late slate last night, like all night in the 2-2-2. It was like great. But the one big stand that I took that was awesome was like I just faded Jordan Poole, right? And he was 60% owned. And when you can bury the field by making one big fade, and what the first time I feel like I really ever like, not that I learned it, but like the first time it really clicked for me, especially was on a showdown slate. I was like, I saw Giannis was someone that got faded on a showdown playoff slate. And you know those playoff slates, Title, they're massive prize pools. There's a lot of people in it. Someone shipped with it was the most simple team and had super high ownership, but they played Drew, they played Middleton, and they just faded Giannis. And Giannis was like 80% owned. And yeah, it's a really hard fade to make, but when you fade one of those super high owned guys that should not have that ownership at times, right? Or just it's too high, you can get a huge edge by doing that. So, and with a lot of people condensing on the same plays, like, I mean, Jokic was 40% owned the other night on like a 10-game slate. Like not saying Jokic isn't a great play, but like, what are we doing, right? Like think about some of these other studs to pivot to. And that's something we're going to have to look at on this slate tonight. Like you're going to see of the studs tonight. I mean, everyone's going to want to load up on Julius Randle. He's a great play. Got to try and find some pivots maybe, or find some pivots in some other areas. We just can't play every single chalk option.
Exactly. And that's why I really like the idea of going LaMelo and SGA if you can, if it fits, if more value opens up and stuff too. But I love that in the first game. Love talking game theory right there. Someone, TJ said, so fade Zeke tonight, or listen to the Showdown show, listen to Daily Assist show and that. You can still play chalk. You just got to get different a little other places. If you don't play Zeke, then you can play a lot more chalky build since that is the fade you make. So depends what you're doing with the rest of your lineup is the answer to that. But yeah, let's get back to basketball. I think that was a good talking point there. As always, only thing we ask from you, like button, big red subscribe button. Let's get 300 today. Should easily be able to do that. Almost 600 watching right now. Next game on the slate, 7 p.m. Eastern, Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers, 223 total. Cleveland is favored by 5. For Cleveland, Cedi Osman is questionable. Nothing else matters on that side. As far as the Pacers, Tyrese Haliburton is questionable. The big news there. We will get it before lock. If Tyrese is out, I mean, Nembhard, TJ McConnell, Miles Turner, all these guys get a bump. If Tyrese, their best player, is out. If he's in, man, I'll go to you first. If then scenario, do you have interest in the Pacers if he's in? If he's out, what does it do? And do you have any interest on the other side?
Halliburton's obviously a big piece of news because he controls so much usage for that team. It's funny. I was watching the game with my uncle the other day, and he was like, who do you have in this game, right? And I was like, Tyrese Haliburton. He's like, what's he do? I was like, well, the Pacers are shooting 35% from the field, and he gets assists, and because of that, I'm not going to do well. Like they're just not making shots. And like, if Haliburton doesn't play, there is a ton of usage to go around, right? And that also kind of hurts some of these other guys that get assisted. So think about that when you're kind of building out your lineups. I think that's a super important point that sometimes we forget. Like this could hurt someone like Buddy Hield a little bit more because he might gain usage, but that doesn't set him up easier. It could really help out some of these other options. We will need the starting lineup. You could see TJ McConnell slide in there. We've already seen Nembhard playing in that spot. I assume they would keep McConnell off the bench. Maybe they bring in Mathurin. I assume Jalen Smith is going to start. So I think it's going to be Miles Turner, Jalen Smith, because they're going to want a double big lineup. And then you'd have it with Nembhard, Hield, and then it'd be either Haliburton or it'd be McConnell or probably Mathurin. I guess they could go with Nesmith possibly, but that is going to matter. They might want Mathurin's usage off the bench, but there's a lot of usage to go around. Well, obviously really, really like Nembhard at 4,500. He will pop up as a phenomenal play. He has slid into that role and commanded a ton of usage and played really awesome. I'm not dying to get the Miles Turner. You could make a case for Miles Turner in tournaments because he is going to be on the outside a little bit more, and that can hurt like Jared Allen. He can get some open looks, but I just don't think I want to mess around with Miles Turner here on this slate. There's other center options that I prefer, but I would really like Nembhard if Haliburton's out. On the flip side, if Haliburton's in, title 9,200 is a cheap price tag for Haliburton, and people are not going to go click on that name. They're all talking about Luka. They're talking about Ball, SGA. So that could be a contrarian stud at the top at 9,200 that you could take a chance on. But I do think Jalen Smith could be a guy, if he ends up sliding into that starting lineup today, 3,700, he could be a value that I don't think people are prepared for. That could be a really good play. So if I had to kind of rank these guys, if Haliburton's out, you definitely want to have Nembhard in your lineups. I'm not dying to get the Buddy Hield. He's more of a last piece in for me. I have to see who that other starter is going to be. And then I think Jalen Smith could be like a surprise starter that could be a value play that pops up, that it might be 645 and you're like, I wasn't prepared to play Jalen Smith as much today, but you got to think about it a little bit. I think that's a piece of news that could come up because with that double big lineup, it's what they'd want to do. Cleveland, they're a team that obviously we know what they do. You got Mobley, you got Allen, then you got Mitchell. It's obviously a good lineup. Darius Garland, 8K. Do I want to play the guessing game of who's going to pop off between Garland and Mitchell? Not really for me. I mean, I play 1 to 3 lineups, more of that single entry 3 max stuff. If you're playing 150 lineups, I would not X out like Donovan Mitchell and Garland. They have upside, but I wouldn't also jam them on your teams. I wouldn't say give me a min of whatever. I'd see if they pop up on teams in SaberSim and then go from there. Maybe if you want to get some Mitchell, you put him from a projection of like 43 to 45. If you're still not getting him, that's okay. Like, so just kind of adjust it and mess around with it. That's my overall takeaway of how I'm kind of handling the Cleveland side of the ball.
Yeah, good breakdown. Need the Tyrese news, of course. Yes, Helmet, the second that Hoop was laughing and cut me off, I knew SO play of the day is long gone now. Swaze, I get it for sure. People are acting like this dude's Adam Sandler, Johnny Depp, Clint Eastwood. I mean, is that the boat he's in, Hoop?
Of that generation,
Wow.
honestly, it's a little before me as well. But of that generation, he was like the main dude. Like I think he was the panty dropper actor too. Like all the ladies loved him. Like he was one of the studs of
Title,
the
do you know
movie
the
scene.
song? Because I had the time of my life. I'm not gonna sing.
Yeah,
that song. So in that song in the movie, the woman runs, like she runs to him and he catches her and he holds her in the air straight up. That's like the famous, like it's a famous scene for sure. Like that.
What movie is that? That's in what is that? What movie is that from?
I'd have to look at the scene.
It's in whatever the famous
Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing.
Yeah,
yes. It's like one of the most popular movies of that time.
Yeah, it's like a massive one. So title. If the lady ever asks, hey, let's watch some Dirty Dancing, you can get some Patrick Swayze.
No, that movie's probably in black and white. I'm not watching that movie.
And here you go, title. Sexiest Man Alive in 1991. 91, Sexiest Man Alive.
Yeah, I was not born for a long time after that. So yeah, that's let's get to this game. I mean, man, the Adam Sandler. Yeah, I do know people like Clint Westwood. You know who that is. Yes, come on.
Clint Westwood.
Right. The people in chat, they were trying to make like they're saying the opposite wrong name of these last names, pretending I didn't. Yes, I know Clint Eastwood and all that. All right, go ahead.
And Clint Westwood.
Yeah, I mean that's what people are doing. They're asking if I know it's saying the last name wrong. All right,
you better be careful because they're gonna try to throw you off there.
I know.
In regards to this game, not a ton for me here. On the Cleveland side, the only guy I'd probably consider, and I don't love him, is Jared Allen at 6.3K. Evan Mobley, talked about it last show. The minutes are still there, but the usage rate is like non-existent. I mean, he's doing nothing fantasy-wise, hasn't hit 30 in 4 straight games, and I'll just continue to be off of him. So maybe Jared Allen if you're building some teams. On the Pacers side, it all depends on Halliburton, obviously. If Halliburton's in, probably not playing any Pacers. If he's out, then I'll take a look at Nembhard, Buddy Hield, probably TJ McConnell, really whoever starts in that guard through like small forward spot I'd be interested in. But need the news here, and this is a 7 p.m. Eastern game, so we will have it. But not a ton of interest here for me in this game.
Mangone, you said before we get to the next game, you said no to Miles Turner. Would that change if Tyrese was out, or it's still no to Miles Turner regardless?
I don't know. I pulled up Patrick Swayze just to see. He's got your long flowing hair too. He hasn't got a shortcut.
Well, I mean, when Hoops had the panty dropper, the generation, of course he's got the flow. There's no other way around it. You can't be bald and be a panty dropper.
He's got the flow. You gotta look it up. I forgot. I was like, I haven't seen Patrick Swayze in a while. What's he look like again? So I pulled it up.
Sylvester Malone.
Sylvester Malone's good. But what was your question again? Sorry.
Are you I don't even Miles Turner, if Tyrese is out, are you still not playing him?
Yeah, I don't know if I can just get excited about him there. I mean, you could make a case like he's that like 6K like center that like he could go for 40 or 50, right? Like he could, but this is not the most ideal matchup in the world. I think he really needs Halliburton, right? Because I think Halliburton helped set up those shots for him. Like it's just that's what Tyrese does, right? He switches
the pick and roll. Yeah, he draws 2, kicks it on the. Yeah, I get it.
He helps too much for me. So yeah.
That makes sense. Let's get to the next game on the slate. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Memphis Grizzlies, Toronto Raptors. 228.5 total. Memphis is favored by 3. No injury news on the Memphis side. Toronto, Fred VanVleet questionable. Big news here. Precious is questionable. Christian Koloko is also questionable. Hoop, I'll stick with you or I'll go to you in this one. I mean, Mangone's talking about contrarian spend ups. Ja looks like one of those. Talk about Fred VanVleet news. Break down this game for us.
Yeah, Ja at 10K is probably going a little overlooked. I mean, in that price range, I think most people go to SGA. I think most people go to maybe even LaMelo Ball. You have Luka as a spend at guard. A lot of guards to spend up on. I think Morant's a guy that, could go a little overlooked here, and, Ja Morant can break just about any slate. So I think he is an interesting contrarian spend up. And I really do believe in NBA DFS. That's one of the easiest ways to get different and unique. Just play a different superstar, play a different stud than the field. These guys are just so damn good. The matchup really doesn't matter in most cases. And that's all people are really looking at and determining which stud they're going to play. So Morant, I think, really solid in tournaments. On the Raptors side, we need to see what's going on with VanVleet. This is a 7:30 Eastern game, so we should have it at lock. If he's out, all the main pieces here get a big boost. OG, Scotty Barnes, even Siakam at that 10.2K price tag would be fine. And then, who starts here? I mean, who do you think ends up getting the start in this spot if he sits? I mean, they've done a couple things this season when he's been out. Do you have any lean?
I mean, Malachi Flynn, maybe Banton.
Yeah.
Both of them are still there because they went. I think it was Banton when I think it'll be Malachi Flynn, but when we thought it was Malachi Flynn that one game, it ended up being Banton and he crushed. And then I think Malachi Flynn started the other time because Banton was also out. So it's been Malachi Flynn in the past, but Banton was the last time I remember when Malachi Flynn was also healthy. So I think it's one of those two, but my guess is Malachi since he's the normal point guard, but hopefully we get this news. It's only 30 minutes.
Yeah, four of these guys four Raptors will definitely be in play if Van Fleet does indeed sit. We'll get the news, and then Morant is good for a tournament pivot for sure.
I will say too, though, last time that he was hurt, Juancho wasn't usually in the starting lineup too. Gary Trent was starting at the 2. So the starting lineup has been different since the last time we saw Fred VanVleet ruled out. So I'd assume it would be Malachi. But yeah, we'll hopefully get that news before lock. Also, up to lock show, very important today. Tyrese news will probably be hit there. Fred VanVleet news, hopefully the Jalen Brunson news. That is a premium package that we do have. You do need to be a member for that. We do have the promo code HO25, get you 25% off. Make sure you do get in the Discord as well. Mangone, Fred VanVleet, if then scenarios, any interest on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, I'll call this out. So the starter matters for the Raptors, and you do have to make some decisions on these early games, and you might not one thing that might happen on this slate is you might lock into some of these earlier options, and you might not have the Raptors starting lineup, right? Because that game starts at
30 minutes after.
Yeah, 30 minutes after, and you might get it at 7:01, and that's important because Hoop. I mean, we've been playing DFS a while, right? You said, well, we don't know who's going to start. Whoever starts, we just know is the guy, right? That's just what Nick Nurse does. Yep. So I think that's important. But on the flip side, well, what if you play Darius Bazley and you're sitting there like an idiot with 15 DK points and Malachi Flynn has dropped 40? Yeah, you could play both, but it could ruin your lineups a little bit and it could give you an edge on the field. Also, we could get Mike Muscala starts, and then you're like, I don't know if it's Muscala or Bazley, and then Malachi Flynn ends up crushing. Or it could not be Malachi Flynn and you don't get that value. And it could be Gary Trent. And honestly, Gary Trent Jr. does not play starting point guard anymore. The dude averages 1.4 assists on the season. He's not a point guard anymore. They talked about it at the start of the season. They wanted to prioritize Scotty Barnes running the point and Pascal Siakam running the point. So those two guys are actually the real point guards. If Gary Trent Jr. gets there at 4.9K, it's from shooting. It's not because he's out there dishing the ball out there. He has a completely different role. He's a traffic cone. He sits in the corner, makes his jump shots, maybe assists a little bit, but that's it. So I really like Scotty Barnes and I like Pascal Siakam. Those are the two guys that'll really be options that I want to key in on. And I don't think people are going to go to Pascal Siakam. You know why? They're already looking to go to Julius Randle. And if you get Gary Trent starting in there, then you're not going to have the Malachi Flynn value that you're going to be confident in. And who knows what Nick Nurse will do then with guys coming off the bench. So the starting lineups are really important. You also have OG Anunoby who is in there. And OG is shown to be pretty good in some of these roles when they've had less guys. He typically is the best in these matchups where you expect some sloppy basketball being played. He'll smash in those matchups against the Spurs and OKC. Memphis isn't really a sloppy team, but they are going to need him defensively, and it will be a boost for him. So I think my rankings overall right now are going to be Pascal Siakam would be my number one guy. If you have VanVleet out, I want to try and get a contrarian Pascal Siakam in there. Now, I don't know who it's going to be paired with. Maybe it's still with Randall, just going double spend up forward while other people don't do that. That'd be a way to fade that cheap center option possibly on the Thunder if you wanted to get different that way. Then it would be Scotty Barnes at the small forward or power forward position. And then OG, the key with him is he has guard and forward eligibility. So he might pop more than Scotty Barnes because he has the flexibility to slide into both those spots. So that's kind of how I'd rank them right now without that starting lineup. We need to know who's going to be in there. But the key with the Raptors is always who are the starters, because when they're in there, they are going to be options that get, all the minutes. And then the other ones, it's going to be mixed and matched throughout. It depends how they play, and it depends what Nick Nurse wants to do.
Let's say Fred VanVleet's in. People in chat were asking, Siakam or Ja for you as a contrarian spend? Or would you not think you'll get to either of them?
I probably don't get to either, but I'm not a big Ja. I don't like spending on Ja. And also, the Raptors run the box and one, and they like to do it more on the shooters. but like you can easily throw 2 guys on Ja and just force it out of his hands. And you know what sounds good? Getting the ball to Dylan Brooks and all those other guys. So I could see them trying to force that ball out of Ja's hand and not trying to let him drive to the rim. They tried to do that against Zion. It didn't work. But as D'Angelo Russell said last night, Zion's out there playing football. You literally can't stop him. So I think Ja is actually not a great play tonight. I much would rather play Pascal Siakam because even if VanVleet's in, Pascal Siakam can nuke any slate. And the dude has just been on an absolute tear. So don't ignore Pascal Siakam and the upside that he has in this spot.
Yeah, good breakdown. I do got to say, though, if you watch this show long enough, Ja's going for 80 today. He's going for the next Luke after Mangone said that. It happens every single time. Take that information how you will. We do need 300 likes today, though. It should easily happen. Over 600 watching. If you want to see the Swaze play of the day, see what's going on with that graphic. I don't know what's going on, but if you want to do it, you do need 300. Otherwise, I definitely will be getting us out of here in a second. There's no doubt about that. Let's get to the next game on the slate, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Los Angeles Clippers, Boston Celtics, 227.5 total. Boston is favored by 7. Blake Griffin and Malcolm Brogdon are questionable, both with an illness, both midday downgrades. Going over to the Clippers side, no injury news there. Hoop, I'll go to you. Blake Griffin, I don't think matters too much. Brogdon, he comes off the bench, maybe more minutes. Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. Does that news do anything for you? Do you have any interest in this game?
Yeah, I mean, probably the least interest of any of the games, I would say. We're not really waiting on any news here, so it's pretty set. Both these teams pretty healthy for the most part, at full strength. Brogdon obviously would give these guys a little bit of a boost, but is it enough to bring them into the player pool? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, I think I'd probably go elsewhere if I'm spending that sort of salary. I will say, Tatum was up towards like 11K for a while. Now he's come down a little bit, 10-3. Jaylen Brown at 9-1. I mean, I'd be fine with those guys as like last guys in type plays, but definitely not priorities for me. On the Clippers side, I don't know. When they're at full strength, I typically don't play them. Paul George, the price is down to 8-4, but what's his upside with Kawhi in there? So yeah, it's a tough game here. I probably have limited exposure to this one.
I agree. Mangone, yeah, not your favorite game as well, or do you have a different take than us?
Sorry, I'm on mute. You're talking about which one? Houston, Dallas?
Clippers, Boston.
Oh, Clippers, Boston. Oh yeah, I'm in a different order than you are. Obviously if Brogdon's out, that could change things, but yeah, not a game to really get too excited about. Kawhi Leonard's price tag has been nice, 7-8. You could take a chance on it, but it's not. Listen, if you're just sitting down watching a game tonight, like this would be a fun game to watch. But DFS wise, I feel good about staying away from this game for the most part. I mean, I guess you could make the case that Robert Williams' price tag has been down a bit. Like at his price of 4-3, does he have upside? He played 21 minutes the last game. Yeah, he could certainly get there. I'm not scared of Zubac down low. So maybe like a Robert Williams value play, especially if like a Brogdon sits, right? Because if Brogdon sits, that's a guy that could close in certain scenarios. So it takes out one other guy that could allow Robert Williams to close a little bit. But I'm not excited about too many options in this game.
No contrarian spends in this one either. Tatum, Jaylen Brown, PG.
No, I think we have enough. I'm kind of good with the contrarian spends that I'm looking at already. So and even like at guard, right? Like someone in the chat said like, oh, well, get off of Luka today. People are not like jamming Luka. I'm not saying the dude's going to be like 2%, but they're not jamming him in there, at least as of right now. Anything can change on slates, but as of right now, we're going to get to it. The Knicks guys are the ones that everyone is kind of jamming in there that I noticed. And then from there, there's some like more middling type builds, or it's like picking one of these studs along with Julius Randle. And then you have to have a lot of value to make it work. That's why it's not necessarily jamming in someone like Luka. It's not that easy.
Yeah, no, Luka's not going to be. I mean, he's definitely going to be higher than we think he probably is, just because of what he did last game, and people are going to make sure they get him. But he's definitely not a chalk option today. That's for sure.
But do you know how his ownership goes down? It goes down if Fred VanVleet's out, because what happens is everyone wants Scotty Barnes, right? Everyone wants OG. It's going to go the middling build more. Maybe it jams in Siakam too over him, but like that will really eliminate that build because everyone's going to want to play more mid-tier options. Josh Giddey's going to still pop. And you might make the case, yeah, we have Baisley as a value. We have McBride. Sure, you can certainly make that argument, but it's not like you're flooded with value like we were the other day. And a lot of the value will get funneled into playing more mid-tier options, and it might even funnel into playing McBride, Baisley, and then just jamming in all these mid-tier values.
Yeah, I don't think Luka's going to get that type of ownership for sure. There's 2 games left on the slate. Again, 300 likes is what we need. 8 p.m. Eastern, New York Knicks, San Antonio Spurs, 224.5 total. The Knicks are favored by 5. Jalen Brunson is questionable in this game. Very big news. Quickly would become even a better play if he does miss. RJ Barrett is also still out. He's not also, I think he got hurt last game, I believe, or 2 games ago, but he is out, which is why Julius Randle keeps being talked about, why Brunson would be such a good play if he's in. Going to the Spurs side, Devin Vassell is also out. Yeah, he's one of their best players too, shoots the ball a ton. So we do have injury news in this game. Mangone, you kept talking about Julius Randle, you kept talking about Brunson. Break down this game for us.
Yeah, I've definitely been on the Julius Randle train. It's been fun. He's been absolutely awesome. He will have a ton of ownership tonight. Could tonight be the night to get off? It could be. One thing that's at least nice about the Knicks is, like, let's say you're worried about blowout for some reason. Like, you think somehow the Knicks blow out the Spurs. Because, I mean, the Spurs aren't a good basketball team. But, 1, the Knicks are shorthanded. And 2, they play their guys most of the way, right? They are not scared to do that. So, like, it could be an absolute blowout, and they just play Julius Randle. So, like him a lot. The one thing to talk about with Julius Randle is he's only power forward eligible. So he can only slide into the power forward spot, the forward spot, and the utility. So there's one small knock that could be against him. Only 3 roster spots that he can slide into. Miles McBride is going to be a really good value play. So will Emmanuel quickly. Obviously, the starting lineups is going to be important. Title, do we know if Jalen Brunson's for sure playing? Is that like locked in, or is he still cute?
I see questionable.
Yeah, and he is someone that battles.
He missed last game, though.
He did. He is someone who battles and plays, though. He missed the Mavericks game. That is a revenge game. You'd think he wanted to play in that
That's
game.
what I mean. So it might be even more serious than we think, because he usually doesn't miss.
Well, the reason I think it's serious is because the last injury, he had a walking boot on, and everyone thought he was not going to play. I was backloading, and then it backfired in my face. And he said at the end of the game, don't get me wrong, I'm hurt, but I'm playing through it. So, like, there's a chance he decides to play through it today, and there's a chance he decides not to play and just keep resting that. They probably are pretty upset that they lost that last game. Maybe Brunson wants to get out there. But I think overall, Brunson, for one, he's popping up and he's an interesting play. But we have to get that news. And this slate could change. Like, when you're already locked into OKC guys, I would not be surprised to see Jalen Brunson become a game time decision at the 30 mark, 6:30. And then you just got to keep waiting for this news. And if you lock into some other values, like you lock into Darius Baisley and some of these other guys, like a McDaniels, a PJ, well, you can't spend down at every single position. It might mess up your construction. And these Knicks values could be really good. You'd obviously want to play Emmanuel quickly. This spot would be incredible if you have Jalen Brunson out. They also need wing players because they don't have RJ Barrett, who is playing 40 minutes a night for them already. It's going to help McBride. It's going to help Grimes. Even Mitchell Robinson at 5'4". The dude's going to play a ton. He's going to have to. And they don't have a lot of other options in there. They're not playing Evan Fournier and all these other options. They're still benching Cam Reddish. Derrick Rose goes out there, but he's not going to stay in the game too long unless the dude goes out there and shoots 5 for 5 and starts feeling himself like Kemba did last year on Christmas. So I think overall, these Knicks plays, yes, they're being looked at and they're very good, but if Jalen Brunson sits, even different plays could pop up and be stronger options, and you don't want to ignore them, and you want to make sure, I think, you prioritize maybe I might prioritize these Raptors and Knicks value kind of plays over the OKC Charlotte ones. Depends how the news kind of shakes out, but I think that could be super important on this slate, especially if everyone's just punting. Like, I don't know if Josh Giddey's that great of a mid-tier play when I could gain some really, really good Knicks guards that could help my lineups a ton. And if I play cheap Knicks guards, that could allow me to grab forwards like OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and that's something I'm interested in.
Yeah, great breakdown there. I mean, even if Jalen Brunson plays, I'll fire up Emmanuel quickly. RJ Barrett's not there. Quickly played 50 minutes last game. He only set out 2 minutes in regulation, shot 5 for 21, 1 from 10 from beyond the arc, and still puts up 42 DK points with 15 assists. I mean, Thibodeau's going to run. They're going to run these dudes out. Even if Brunson's in, he's going to play.
One thing to call out too. He had 3 fouls with 9 minutes left in the second
They kept
quarter,
running them.
and they kept running him. That's so important to know. They do not want to go into this bench. I'm telling you, they do not want to play these guys. They have no confidence in them. They're going to run these guys into the ground. So it's hard to ignore them. Just a really good spot.
I mean, I've always loved Quickly. I've always thought he's a stud. He was only getting like low 20s minutes though, and then he goes off for the 50, obviously with the injuries. But man, sign me up for Quickly regardless. If Brunson's out, yeah, I mean, everyone's going to play him for sure. Who break down this game? It looks like the first or second best game on the slate for me. Talk about that first game too that we talked about. Vassell out, could even be better with Brunson. Break this game down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good spot. I mean, it's especially on the Knicks side. I mean, you guys laid it out perfectly. I mean, these guys are just going to play a ton of minutes. They're already good plays as is. And then if Brunson gets ruled out, then they become just like elite plays. If Brunson's in, I like him at the 7.4K. I mean, these guys are just playing a ton of minutes quickly. Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, I like a lot at 5.4K. I mean, very fair price tag for him. He played 36 minutes last time out, back-to-back 40 fantasy point games. There's other options at center. Maybe he goes a little overlooked. And then if Brunson's out, it's going to bring guys like McBride into the conversation as well. A lot to like here on the Knicks side. The Spurs, they're just a tough team for fantasy. But again, with Vassell out, Keldon Johnson, I don't mind. Jakob Poeltl, I don't mind, especially I like doing this. If I know I'm going to have a lot of guys on one side, I'm going to have a lot of Knicks. I want to include some Spurs guys because you want that competitive game. Spurs are a little bit of a trickier team though, but Trey Jones you could throw in the conversation as well. Keldon Johnson, Poeltl, a little bit of exposure. None of them will be all that highly owned, but it's a really, really good game for fantasy purposes that could get even better depending on what happens with Brunson.
Great breakdown there. We do have one game left. I did see the graphic. It is already made. If you do want that graphic, I'm tempted to even move it up a little bit. 300 feels a little low. Surprise me. It's last time I'll ask. Try and get 350. I did say 300 though. I mean, I don't know what the scene is. I don't know that. I guess it's a famous one. Well, you'll have to hit the like button to see this picture though. But last game on the slate, again, like button, big red subscribe button. Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks. What do you got? 226 total. Dallas is favored by 10. Jayshawn Tate's still out for Houston. As far as Dallas, Reggie Bullock is questionable. Dorian Finney-Smith is out. Maxi Kleber still out as well. Hoop, I'll go back to you. We talked a little bit about Luka. Don't think the ownership's really going to be there. I mean, he puts up 110 again or whatever it was. Yeah, you're going to need him on your team for sure. Break down this game for us.
Yeah, I mean, the Mavs side, it's typically just Luka. I mean, I think it's fine to go there. Again, he's way more expensive than a lot of these other guys on the slate, and people don't like seeing that big $2,000 price gap. I mean, is it easy to play him? Well, that might depend on, what sort of value we end up getting. Like if Van Fleet's ruled out and Jalen Brunson's ruled out, yeah, at that point, it's going to be much easier to play a guy like Luka because that value is going to be there to be able to play him. Definitely fine, especially if you're MMEing. I mean, you definitely want some. You don't want to be sitting there and watch this guy continue to go off for massive numbers and fade. So I definitely want some if you're doing 150 in terms of just like a single entry type team. I don't think you absolutely have to play him. Spencer Dinwiddie, okay, sort of play. Christian Wood in tournaments, I think, is always a guy you can kind of look to. Very volatile, big time performances, and then some stinkers in there. On the Rocket side, not a ton for me here on this Rocket side. I guess Sengun would be the only guy I'd consider at 5.9K, and I don't really know how much I like him, so probably won't have a lot of exposure to him. Just not very interested in the Rockets. It's going to be Luka or nobody here, maybe Dinwiddie. That's where I stand here on this last game.
I like it, man. Going last game of the slate. Break it down for us.
Yeah, title. We got the 300. Good. I was gonna practice talking slow for this segment, but I can speed it back up if I want.
But hey, let's try and get three. It could be way more than 300. I said it low though. We'll get it for you, but if you haven't hit it, we appreciate it.
So I want to talk about Luka here. Obviously a great play. 12K. You just have to make sure, can I spend on him? Do I have the value to do it? Of course, when he goes out and drops like, 100 and 10 or whatever he did, 114. Yeah, nothing matters. Like, you just play him. But we don't know if he's going to do that, right? And he has to put up a pretty big game. Obviously, has a really good projection. He's playing the Houston Rockets. One thing to like about the Houston Rockets, they play at a fast tempo. I was on the rundown with Spread the other day, and I said I love the over in that Knicks-Dallas game. The reason why I liked it is the Knicks don't play defense, and you know who doesn't play a lot of defense either? Dallas. And he was saying, oh, well, the pace of the Dallas is slow. Sure, Dallas's pace is slow, but the Knicks can definitely set that pace, and I think Houston could set this pace. And if Houston does set this pace, Luka is going to do a lot. And also, I'm not that worried about the Houston blowout factor. Typically, you'd be worried about that if Dorian Finney-Smith was in, but Dorian Finney-Smith is not in. His defense is very important. With him not being in there, that is going to help this game interact a little bit more. It's like when a really good defense is missing their big defensive tackle, or maybe their really good cornerback. Now the team can be a little bit more leaky, and I think this Dallas Mavericks team can be a little bit leaky on the defensive end, and this could cause the game to shoot out. That's why I like the idea of Luka kind of the other day too, is I thought, hey, this game could shoot out a bit, and you got Knicks run backs. It's perfect. So Luka, obviously a great spend if you got the money and you got the value. Spencer Dinwiddie is at a tough tag. Again, it's like 6'6". It's kind of like Bogdanovich yesterday. Could he get there? Sure, but he can bust at this tag, and he can bust big time because he's very points dependent. Same with Tim Hardaway Jr. You can make the case that Luka's usage has been it's been hurt a little bit by Christian Wood starting now, but it's a Christian Wood revenge game. He's 7.9K. He has the ability to have a pretty massive ceiling. So I think keeping Luka and Christian Wood in the pool makes a ton of sense here on this slate. On the Houston side, are there any run backs we want? I think that's the thing you got to think about. Eric Gordon is kind of intriguing because the dude's only 3-4. The price tag is really cheap to help make some things work in your lineup. Small forward is not the most glamorous position today, so I think you could make a case for an Eric Gordon as a value. You're not expecting a lot from him, but he probably helps you get Luka onto your teams. Sengun, we know what his upside can be at 5.9K. The question is, will he get the minutes? It's a good question. If I know he's getting the minutes, I'm in. It's one of those guys you can consider an MME. Just want to know what the ownership's going to be. You want it to be a little bit lower so you can take advantage of that and hope you get a single-digit game where he goes off. Jalen Green at 6'6" has the upside. I prefer him over Kevin Porter Jr. Nothing against Kevin Porter Jr., but Jalen Green is just 1.1K cheaper. And just pricing-wise, I think it makes a lot more sense. If I am playing one of those two guys, it's probably Jalen Green. So the way I'd rank them today is probably like Eric Gordon's number one just because what he does for your full lineup right now, value-wise. And then I'd say probably number two is Jalen Green. And I'm not excited about really anyone else. You could make a case like keep Jabari Smith in your 150 pool. I know the upside he can have in Sengun, but don't bump those guys too much because I don't think you want to like look at your lineups and be like on Christmas, I entered that FanDuel slate title and I was like, I have like 70% Jonathan Kuminga. Like, I don't want 70%. How do I fix this? Like, I wouldn't want to like look at these Rockets and be like, I have over 50% of these guys. Like, what am I doing? That's something to think about a little bit.
For sure. Last question before we get the plays of the day. What do you think Luka comes in that big 15? 20%, 25, lower?
It's not single digits. The question is, I'm telling you, I really, really think that the news on the Raptors depends on it. Because if you get Fred VanVleet out, you're going to see Barnes pushed in there. You're going to see OG.
I think it could go both ways, though. Could just say Malachi starts. Then you already have another guard everyone's jamming in.
That's a fair point. Yes, you would have that guard. But here's the other flip side, Title. What if you lock into Darius Baisley, you lock into Josh Giddey, and now you got Malachi Flynn? You don't got a lot of spots to be able to make that work. And then like you got it quickly at that shooting guard. So if you play Josh Giddey early, that could actually hurt you to grab Luka later on. It's something to mention that I think you kind of have to think about. And that's why, like, I'm not saying it's like a perfect thought process, but like this early game and locking into these players is way more important. Like one thing to call out yesterday, Title, that I thought was very valuable was if you played John Collins yesterday, you weren't getting three studs. You weren't getting DeJounte Murray, Jokic, and Giannis. And I wanted to make sure I had three of the four studs. And I consider Jordan Poole one of the studs because I thought those Warriors could sit. If you play some of these mid-tier guys like Josh Giddey, PJ Washington, that is going to hurt your construction of grabbing Luka later on. So you could watch at 7 o'clock. If we don't have the Raptors news, go look at their ownerships. If those ownerships are high, Luka is low. If those ownerships are low, Luka could be higher. That's definitely something to think on.
Yeah, great breakdown there. It's a fun slate. The 2 games I'll definitely be focusing on. The first game we talked about with the Hornets and the Thunder. And then, of course, the San Antonio Spurs and the Knicks could even get better if Brunson misses because RJ Barrett's already out. Devin Vassell is already out there. So
Van Fleet's out, by the way.
Van Fleet's out. Okay, cool. Precious is out as well. Now we just got to wait on the starter. Is it Bam?
It's gonna push Barnes, OG. I'm curious to see what Pascal pushes into, and then one of the values, but we might not know the value, but it's that mid-tier build. Like, I mean, if you started a core with, or if you started a core with Barnes, OG, Quickly, and like Randall, like that's a great mid-tier-ish start. And then like throwing like a value play, like, and you're in great shape.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait for starters in that. Whoever gets a start, we always have interest in whoever Nick Nurse starts. They run them out a ton. Up to Lock show, we'll talk about it too. Probably going to get the starters on that Up to Lock show. You guys did get 300 likes, so we're going to get you the plays of the day. If you haven't hit it yet, we appreciate it if you do. And again, not just NBA going on tonight. Great NFL slate. Great meaning because there's a lot of money to be made, not necessarily with Henry out, Pollard out, and stuff like that, but the guys, Big T, Tambo, K Fallick, and JSU already broke it down on the premium side. If you haven't checked out that show, check it out after this. You do have to be a member for it, though. Ho 25 gets you 25% off. You did your daily assist video today, right? Too, as well, Hoop, right?
Yes. Yep. That should be posted as well on the website.
That's premium as well?
That is free.
Free. So if you're not a member, you can't do it right now, don't have the money, whatever it is, you can see the daily assist video that Hoop did put out as well. So lots of showdown content for tonight. Let's get into the plays of the day. You guys got 300. I'll start with myself first. It's not the SO. That is retired, unfortunately. The Swaze play of the day. I'm going to contrarian spend. He's not going to be single digits or anything on this 6-game slate, but I love the first game of the night. Very high pace. Think more people go to LaMelo for sure. Give me SGA at 10.1K. Tons of upside. I love playing him. He always has the ball in his hand. Triple-double upside. That's how I'm going to get a little different. SGA, the Swaze play of the day. Rich Parents play of the day. Who do you got?
Rich Parents play of the day. We're going to go to the Knicks, and it's going to be Mitchell Robinson playing a ton of minutes. The production has been good in back-to-back games. Center, we have a lot of center options, so maybe he goes a little bit overlooked. But, I like Mitchell Robinson tonight as the Rich Parents play of the day.
I don't know if you saw the graphic, Hoop. Kid called it a little while ago, though. He said, I hope it's the famous scene with the pot, blah, blah, blah. Well, yep, that's what it is. So you got it perfect. Yeah,
Helmus, the producer got it to me mid-show. Is just a phenomenal piece of work.
It definitely is. Man, going Sweet Travis play of the day. Who do you got for us?
It's tough because we don't have like the ownership. I want to get something lower, but let's go with Pascal Siakam. He is going to be someone that I don't think he gets jammed on the teams. I think more people are going to Julius Randle naturally, even at the bump of Fred VanVleet being out. I assume Randall will be pushed on more teams for sure. So let's go with Pascal Siakam. You could certainly play both and double spend up at forward and center, and like that'll give you a little bit of a different build and spend down for some of these guards. So I think Pascal Siakam will be the play of the day.
Love it. It was a very fun show. I like when people start slandering, roasting, making fun. Hey, that's what we do at this show. And I say it wrong, I will go to my grave. I don't even know his real name's pronounced anymore. Swaze sounds way cooler than whatever it really is. But yeah, that's what it's going to be from now on. SO is retired, unfortunately. Check out the Up to Lock show. How to Rump Your Sports. Ho 25. Get you 25% off. Get in the live show chat. Good luck tonight, everybody, in NFL and NBA. Let's see some RPS logos up top. That's going to do it for us, though. For Hoop, Man Going, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.